Over here, dear friend. I thought I heard the soft crunch of pebbles just a moment ago, like the lake had whispered of your arrival before I even opened my eyes. You always find your way so gently, as though the world has been expecting you. And here, this little island welcomes you back, just as I do. Come now, don't worry about your boots. The moss is kind to travelers, and the stones here still remember the sun. They're warm even now beneath the fading light. Sit beside me. Yes, just there the earth dips a little in that spot, like it was shaped for the both of us. You'll find the log behind your back gives just enough support, should you wish to lean. I often do. It sets a good evening for quiet company. The day has nearly folded itself away, and the sky is doing that lovely thing it does just before the stars arrive, softening like wool soaked in dusk. Look there, across the water. See how the last slivers of gold ripple on the lake's surface. The reflections are stretched thin and slow, like painted silk being drawn across glass. That's how the sun says goodbye here. Not with a shout, but a sigh, gentle, unhurried. The reeds around us are swaying, slow as breath. You can hear them if you listen carefully, like a mother soothing a child. The frogs have begun their nightly chorus from the far bank, and the hush between their songs is somehow just as lovely as the croaking itself. That's the magic of this place. It sings, but never louder than your thoughts. Everything here knows how to wait. You see that willow there? The one just behind us with the long silver arms that trail the water. That tree's been here longer than I've worn a blade. Its roots dig deep beneath the island, anchoring this little patch of earth even when storms pass overhead. I've rested under that canopy more times than I could count. When the wind moves through it just right, it sounds like old voices humming lullabies. Not words, just tones you feel more than hear, like memories. Lean back if you wish. There's no need to speak, no rush, no reason to chase anything tonight. Here, everything slows. The fireflies are starting to blink near the cattails, little lanterns flickering in the hush. They never swarm, not here, just a handful, rising and falling, like thoughts drifting in and out of dream. I often think they're stars that forgot to stay in the sky, come down for a closer look at the water. Wouldn't surprise me. Even stars need rest, I imagine. Can you feel it, my friend? That hush settling in. It's not silence. No, not at all. It's full, in its own way. Full of the soft turning of the world as it tucks itself in. You and I, we're just part of the folding now, like moss, or mist, or the surface of the lake smoothing out. Sometimes when I lie here long enough, I forget where the island ends and the lake begins. The dampness beneath my palms, the way the wind presses gently at my shoulders, the curl of the twilight, it all becomes one. There's no boundary, only softness. And now, with you here beside me, the moment feels complete, like a circle drawn around the quiet. You've brought a stillness with you, you know. Not everyone does. Some folk carry a kind of noise with them, even when they're quiet, but not you. You carry peace like a lantern, low and steady, and wherever you go, the world seems to hush itself just to match your pace. So stay a while. One virtue. Let the lake hold your thoughts for a bit. Let the willow shelter them. Let the dusk wrap them in something gentle. We don't have to speak more than this. The moment is enough. The moss is soft. The air is kind. And you, my dearest companion, you are welcome always in this quiet fold of the world. We'll sit here as the stars arrive. No need to count them. Just feel. Just breathe. Let it all be slow. Let it all be soft. Do you feel it, my friend? The way the world settles into itself. Now that the sun has nearly gone, it's a quiet most folk miss. Wrapped as it is in softness, in slowness. But here, on this island, it's all around us, settling like mist on the skin, curling in the corners, weaving through the reeds and the hush. Let me show you what I see. This island, well, it's not much to speak of if you're counting size, but it holds more peace than most castles I've visited. Just a small rise of earth in the middle of the lake, softened with moss and ringed by stone. The water's edge is close, always just a few paces away, no matter where you sit. It's the kind of place where you can feel the shape of the world simply by listening. Everything here is small, slow, and sure. Right above us, the great willow spreads its branches wide, like a mother sheltering her children. It's older than I am by centuries, I'd wager, and its limbs bow gracefully toward the lake, their tips brushing the water with the gentlest touch. The sound they make is like silk moving over stone, soft, steady, unhurried. I've spent hours watching the wind move through its green strands, like fingers running through hair. In the spring it blossoms faintly, little tassels pale as moon milk, and the scent is something sweet, but not bold, just kind. Near its roots, there's wild mint growing in thick clusters. Lean close enough and you'll catch its fragrance, bright and green, almost sharp when the breeze stirs. Sometimes I brush my fingers through it just to carry the scent a while longer. It mixes with the damp bark and the faint sweetness of lake water, and altogether it smells like a memory, one you can't quite place, but don't need to. Just breathing it in is enough. Around the edge of the island, the reeds sway slow and steady, whispering to each other in the low light. They're thick and golden this time of year, their tips feathered and bowed. Between them, the fireflies have begun to blink, first one, then another, until the dark hums with their soft rhythm. I like to think they're sentinels, keeping watch as the light fades, not out of duty but out of habit. They seem too peaceful to be soldiers, don't they? Farther out, across the lake, the frogs begin their evening calls. Not loud, not jarring, just little voices rising now and then, with space between them like pauses in a lullaby. I've come to know their rhythm, and I swear some of them take turns, as if they've agreed not to speak over one another. Their chorus blends with the occasional splash, perhaps a fish turning near the surface, or a heron testing its legs in the shallows. But none of it breaks the stillness. It adds to it, like brush strokes in a single painting. The lake itself, well, have you ever seen water so still? It stretches wide, a mirror more than a surface, cradling the island like a mother's palm. Sometimes it's hard to tell where the sky ends and the lake begins. The reflections are that clear. Even now, as the gold of evening gives way to lavender, the water holds each hue like it was born for that purpose. Faint clouds drift across both sky and surface, and they move so slowly, I often find myself blinking to check. They're not just dreams. Beyond the lake, the shores rise in gentle hills, blanketed in forest. Deep pines mostly, and old oaks. I've watched the seasons pass through them, green in summer, fire-colored in autumn, black-barked and snow-burdened in winter. But now, at this hour, they're shadows, not menacing, no, just resting. Trees need rest too, you know, and from here they seem to sigh in contentment, their breath carried across the water in cool draughts that tickle the skin and hush the soul. The birds are settling now. A few still drift on the lake, grebes and coots, their heads tucked low, gliding with barely a ripple. There's a grace to them I envy. They move as if the water belongs to them, and perhaps it does. From time to time one lets out a soft trill, no louder than a whisper between old friends. I like to imagine they're sharing their dreams before sleep. Above us, the sky deepens by the moment. First, it was pale gold, like the inside of a peach. Then, it grew dimmer, turning dusky lavender, like wild heather on the hills. And now it slips toward indigo. Stars are beginning to show, not all at once, but slowly, like shy thoughts gathering the courage to speak. The first ones always seem the loneliest, don't they? But they're soon joined, and before long the whole sky will be alight with quiet company. And through it all, the air. It's hard to describe, but I'll try. It carries the scent of water and wood, and something older still, like stones left long in the sun. It feels like the end of a song hummed just for you, one that leaves a note on your skin long after the voice has gone. Breathing it in, it doesn't just fill your lungs, it calms the chest, it slows the pulse, it reminds you that nothing urgent waits, and everything gentle is already here. This is the world I return to when I need to remember who I am without the noise. This island, this lake, they ask for nothing. They demand no titles, no tasks, no reasons. They welcome me as I am. And tonight, they welcome you too. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? To be so completely unneeded, and yet so deeply wanted by a place. To rest, not because one is weary, but because one can. That's what this world offers, my dear friend. Not escape, not silence, but presence. So let it hold you just for a while. Let the willow shade your thoughts. Let the lake mirror your breath. Let the fireflies remind you how to glow even softly, even briefly. And if you find your mind wandering, let it. The hills will hold your thoughts. The water will carry them gently, never too far. This world was here before us. It will be here long after. But tonight it is ours. It's a quiet thing, growing older. Folk often speak of age like it's a weight, or a wound, something you carry with a grimace and a sigh. But I found it to be more like a blanket. Heavy, yes, in places, but warm all the same, soft along the edges, worn in a way that comforts rather than burdens. That's how I carry it now, not with sorrow, no, but with stillness, with the kind of hush that settles over a hearth once the fire has burned low, and the bread's been broken, and there's nothing more to do but breathe. You asked about me earlier, though not with words perhaps, but with the kind of gaze that listens, and I'd rather answer that way too. Not with titles or triumphs, just with memory. That's the truest shape of a man, after all, not what he's done, but what he keeps close, when everything else has gone quiet. I was never the sort who needed songs sung in my name. No ballads follow me across this island. No statues wait on distant hills, and I'm glad for it, because all that tends to blow away with time, chiseled stone, ink on parchment, even stories carried in eager voices. But some things stay, like the weight of familiar boots on familiar stones. I can still feel the rhythm of it, step by step across old abbey paths, the rounded edges of weather-worn rock, pressing up into the soles, reminding me I was not the first to pass that way, nor would I be the last. I found great peace in that thought. I still do. or the warmth of bread, passed hand to hand beneath a sky full of stars. I remember one evening long ago, though I couldn't tell you the date or even the place now, when a young monk broke his loaf and handed half to me without a word. We sat side by side for nearly an hour, eating in silence, and yet I left with more comfort in my heart than I'd felt in weeks. That's the sort of moment that lingers tucked into the corners of the soul, like a scrap of cloth too dear to throw away. I've seen kingdoms rise, my friend, tall and proud, banners flying in the wind like they could command the sun itself. I've watched them fall too, slowly and then all at once, not with noise, necessarily. Sometimes the falling is quiet, a voice that grows thin, a hall that echoes too much, a field left untended, and yet through it all, life goes on. The birds still sing. The rivers still win their way home. The moss still grows over broken stone. That's what stays with me. Not the grandeur, but the grace. I've walked beside princes and ploughmen, and I tell you truthfully, their laughter sounds the same when it's real. I've slept beneath embroidered canopies and under leaf-strewn boughs, and the dreams are no richer in one place than the other. I've come to believe the soul finds its rest, not in comfort, but in closeness, in feeling the world breathe around you slowly, without demand. That's why I came here, to this island, not to hide from the world. No, I've never been one to flinch from what life gives. I came here to hear it again, the slower music, the kind you miss when your days are full of shouting and schedule. The lake has a voice, you know, low and kind, and the willow tree hums when the wind presses just right through her branches. That hum, it stays with me long after the wind has moved on. I think that's what I'm learning now. Not everything that matters needs to be loud. You might wonder what I seek, sitting here so still, but the truth is, I'm not seeking anything. Not really. I've done enough of that. These days I let things come. Memories, thoughts, the shape of old feelings that rise like mist over water, and if they choose to stay a while, I make them tea in my mind and sit beside them quiet. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How the heart remembers touch better than triumph. I can't recall the full names of half the men I rode beside, but I remember the way one of them wrapped my shoulders with his cloak when the frost came early, or the way another sang to himself, tuneless but with such joy, as we crossed a foggy field in silence. These are the things that return, not because they're grand, but because they were true. And truth, I found, is soft. It doesn't need armor. It doesn't shout. It simply is. So here I sit, not in sadness, not in regret, but in something I can only describe as deep stillness, a kind of restful remembering. And I'm glad for your company in it. It means more than I can say to have you here, not as a witness, but as a presence. Someone who doesn't need noise to feel close. You've always had that gift, you know, a stillness that isn't empty, but full. I suppose that's what I am now. Full, not of deeds or demands, but of time, of moments laid end to end like smooth stones. I trace them sometimes, one by one, just to feel the pattern of the life I've lived, and when I find a jagged edge, I smooth it with patience. That's the privilege of years. There are things I miss, of course. The strength of youth, yes. The long rides, the wind in my face as dawn broke over a distant hill. But I don't long for them. Missing is not the same as wishing. I've had my fill of those days, and they've left their mark, not on my body alone, but on my way of seeing. I look at the world now, not for what it offers me, but for what it reveals of itself, when no one is asking anything of it. And what it reveals when you're quiet enough to listen is astonishing in its gentleness. So no, I won't tell you my name. Names are wind-born, ever shifting. What I've become is quieter than a name. I am a man who has walked long roads and now chooses the mossy path. A knight whose sword rests beside him, not out of disuse, but because the world no longer asks for it. And tonight I ask nothing of you either, only that you sit and breathe and be. That's enough. That's more than enough. We're not here to recount the loud things, you and I. We're here for what hums beneath them, for what lingers, for what whispers. And oh, my dear friend, how grateful I am that you've chosen to whisper with me. You know, my dear companion, I've been thinking this place seems to hold more than it shows. I don't mean treasures or secrets or anything grand like that. No, nothing buried, nothing hidden, just echoes, whispers folded into bark and water and wind. I've been here long enough now to notice them, not with my eyes, not even with my ears really, but with something deeper, something quiet within me that stirs, just a little when the light bends a certain way, or when the reeds shift with the sigh of the evening breeze. It's the lake mostly. She's an old keeper of things. This lake, I can feel it in the way she moves, slowly, deliberately, as if she's balancing something precious beneath the surface. Sometimes I watch her for hours, you know, not seeking, not waiting, just watching, letting my thoughts drift across her, like leaves dropped from the willow above us. Begun to wonder if the lake remembers more than I do. There's a memory I've been trying to touch again. I don't even know what it is. Exactly, not something sharp or clear. No name, no face, just a feeling, the trace of something gentle, something once bright, now softened by time. It feels like warmth on the skin from a sun I can't place, or a melody hummed just once long ago, when the world was younger. Have you ever felt that? Like something lovely brushed past you once, and though it's long gone, the shape it left is still there, like a dent in a pillow, or the warmth of someone's hand after they've gone. That's what I've come to find, or perhaps just to sit beside. This little quest of mine, if you could even call it that, is not one of doing. It's one of allowing, of listening. I sit here with the lake and I let myself be still enough that something might return to me, not because I called it, but because I made space for it to come back. Sometimes I think memories are like birds. The more you chase them, the further they fly. But if you stay quiet, unmoving, and let the world be just as it is, sometimes they'll return on their own. Perch just close enough to glimpse. You don't even have to catch them. Just seeing them again is enough. There was a time years ago, maybe more, when I heard a song near this lake. I don't know who sang it. Perhaps it was no one at all. Perhaps it was the wind teasing the reeds just right. But the sound of it, it left something in me. Not the tune, that's gone. Not the words either. I'm not sure there were any, but the feeling has stayed. It was the kind of sound that made the chest feel fuller somehow. Not heavier, just filled, as if every breath mattered a bit more while it lasted. I've been hoping in my quiet way that if I sit long enough, or listen softly enough, the lake might hum it back to me. Not because I deserve it, no, not for that, but because I've shown up for it, because I'm willing to wait. And in the waiting, something has already changed in me. I've begun to hear the world differently. Not louder, not clearer, just more gently. The lapping of the water on the stones now sounds like an invitation, not a rhythm. The creak of the willow isn't just the sound of wood bending. It's a voice, slow and deep, speaking in a language I feel more than understand. Even the silence between frog songs feels intentional, sacred almost. This island, this lake, they've begun to speak to me in a way I never expected. Or perhaps they always did. And I'm only now learning to listen. And you, sitting beside me now, your quiet presence helps more than you know. There's something about sharing stillness that makes it feel more complete. When you rest your weight on the moss, or let out that slow breath you didn't know you were holding, the world shifts a little, softer, as if it recognizes you too. The lake does. It knows we stir here together. You see, this isn't a quest for answers. I've had those before, quests that needed solving, things that needed finding, wrongs that needed righting. But this is gentler. This is me learning to be in a moment fully, without asking anything of it, but to be what it already is. I find myself wondering about the people who came before us, who stood at this same shoreline, or sat beneath this same tree. What did they listen for? What memories did they carry? What did the lake reflect back to them when they looked with open hearts? We'll never know. But sometimes when the moon begins to rise and the water turns silver, I feel a closeness to them, like we're all part of a long, slow breath passed from one soul to the next. The funny thing about a memory that's half forgotten is that it can become something more than itself. It changes shape. It becomes not just a thing remembered, but a feeling longed for. And that longing, it's not painful, not sharp. It's soft, round, like the edges of a stone that's been in the water a long time. I think that's what this is really. Not a search for a song or a face or even a name, but a quiet reaching towards something tender. Something that once made me feel whole and still does somehow, even if I can't name it anymore. So I'll keep sitting here, my friend, watching the lake shift under the stars, listening for the sound the wind might carry. And if that old song never comes back, if it's lost to time entirely, that's all right. Because in the looking, I've found something else. I've found stillness. I've found presence. Life found you. And in all of that, perhaps I've already remembered more than I realized. So, let's not call this a quest after all. Let's call it a vigil. A gentle vigil for the quiet joys that live in the spaces between memory and dream. Stay with me a while longer. There's nothing to chase, nothing to solve. Just the lake, just the willow, just us. My dear friend, I hope you don't mind if I let my thoughts drift a little. There are moments quiet, unasked for, when the past stirs gently like a breeze through tall grass. Not to make a fuss, not to demand attention, just to remind me that it's still there, tucked into the corners of my heart, softened by time and kindness. Tonight is one of those moments. You see, this place, this island, this lake, this hush around us, it has a way of drawing old memories to the surface. Not in full, not always in sequence, but like glimmers on water, flickering, peaceful things that rise and fade, not to be held too tightly, only witnessed. There was a morning. No, not morning. Perhaps closer to the last hour of night, when the world hadn't quite made up its mind to wake. The light was the color of damp pearl, and the air was still holding its breath. I remember sitting just where we are now, knees drawn close, wrapped in my cloak, when a white heron landed not more than 3 feet away. Tall, proud thing, shoulders high, beak pointed like a prayer. It made no sound, didn't startle, didn't look to me like a creature expecting trouble. Just stood there, in that shallow bit of water where the roots twist down into the lake's skin. I watched it for a long time, barely breathing. It ruffled its wings once, then tucked them neatly, as if to say, "I belong here, same as you." And in that moment, I believed it. We were simply 2 beings sharing stillness. No titles, no roles, just breath, just presence. I think about that heron more often than I admit. I wonder if I ever made someone else feel like that. Unafraid, at peace. I hope I have. That would be enough for one lifetime, wouldn't it? Another time, years and years ago, I was barely more than a lad in truth. I carved my initials into a length of driftwood I'd found washed up near the northern curve of the lake. I didn't know why I did it. Just something in me wanted to leave a mark, not for anyone else, not even for memory's sake, just to say I was here. I touched this. The letters were rough, uneven, full of youth and quiet hope. I tossed it back into the lake when I was done, watched it drift off, spinning slowly, as if it had somewhere gentle to be. I didn't think I'd ever see it again. But I did, seasons later, maybe 4, maybe more. I was walking the shoreline on a dusk like this one, and there it was, resting against the same boulder it had once left. The carving had faded, softened by water and time, but it was still there, my initials, right where I'd left them. It felt like the lake had carried that piece of wood in slow circles, only to return it to me once I'd grown enough to appreciate what it meant. Not permanence, not ownership, just return, just the gentle arc of a small thing coming home. And then there was a night unlike any other. A midsummer's eve, long before the world felt heavy, back when time still seemed wide and slow. I remember lying flat on my back in the clearing just behind this tree, the sky stretched out like a vast breathing tapestry above me. The stars had begun to shimmer more brightly than usual. Perhaps it was the warmth in the air, or the stillness of the lake that magnified their shine. I don't know. But I watched them dance, not twinkle, dance, like little sparks in some cosmic waltz, spinning and dipping across the black silk of night. And I felt something shift in my chest. Not sadness, not joy, just an ache so full it nearly spilled from my eyes. I lay there for a long while, letting the stars press their stories into me. They didn't ask anything of me, didn't speak, they just shone. And I wept, though I wasn't sure why. Perhaps because it was beautiful. Perhaps because I knew I'd never see the sky in quite that way again. Some things are like that, aren't they? Once-in-a-lifetime moments that slip into the soul and stay there, quiet and bright. And there was one more. One that I return to often when the wind grows cool and the fire dips low. It was long ago. How long I couldn't say. But I remember the way the air smelled pine and ash and something soft like lavender just past bloom. I was tending a small fire here on the island, coaxing the embers into warmth, when a child, no older than 5 or 6 I think, curled up beside me and fell asleep without a word. I hadn't known them long. A traveler's child staying briefly at the nearby abbey, shy as morning fog, but with a quiet trust that settled into the bones. They'd followed me out here that day, their little feet stepping exactly in my prints through the mud, never speaking, just and when night came they lay beside me and slept. I remember their head resting against my side, the weight of their breath, the small rise and fall, and how my hand rested across their back without even thinking, just a natural motion, like wrapping a cloak around something too precious to name. We didn't speak in the morning. They woke with the sun and walked away back to the abbey barefoot and blinking. But I carried that moment ever since. Not because of what was said. Nothing was. Not because of any great lesson. But because, for a single night, I was home to someone. A place of rest. A still point in their little world. And isn't that what we all wish to be in the end? Not heroes. Not legends, just a safe place, a soft landing, a calm light in the dark. These memories, they're not grand. Not the kind that fill books or keep courtrooms buzzing. But they're mine. And I give them to you now, like stones smoothed by the lake, held out in an open palm. I share them not because they're rare, but because they're real. Because when everything else fades, it's these small shimmering moments that remain. They hum beneath the skin. They echo in the breath. They keep us tethered to the gentle parts of the world. And you, my friend, sitting here with me in this still hour, you remind me of each one. Your quiet presence is like the heron sip's calm. Your listening, like the return of that driftwood. Your eyes, soft with thought, reflect the same wonder I saw in the midsummer stars. And the peace you bring, it feels like that child's sleeping breath, steady and sure. So stay a little longer once due. Let us rest inside these recollections. Let us be warmed by the past, not burdened by it. For tonight it is enough to remember softly, to let these small joys speak, to offer them like firelight shared, one glowing ember at a time. You feel it too, don't you? That hush that comes not from quieting the world, but from letting the world quiet you. I find myself speaking softer now, not because I'm tired, though I am, but because anything louder would feel misplaced here. The lake doesn't raise its voice. The trees don't shout. Even the stars, scattered so freely across the sky, seem to shine more gently when we let ourselves slow down enough to notice them. I think there's a kind of reverence that comes when we give in to stillness. You see, my friend, the older I grow, the more I believe that time isn't something that moves past us. It's something we fall into like a slow current. When we resist, we flail. When we yield, we float. And this lake, she's taught me more about time than any clock tower or sun shadow ever could. Look there, at the way the moonlight curls on the surface. Do you see how it drifts and flickers? How the patterns stretch and gather again? That's how time feels to me now. Not a straight road, not a ticking metronome, but a soft spiral, like the rings inside an old tree, or the eddies beneath a leaf as it drifts. There's no rush here. The lake doesn't remember in lines, it remembers in layers. And in those layers, there is room for letting go. There are things I once clung to, names, titles, promises I made to myself long ago, when I still believed I needed to be something. And yet here I sit, not lessened by time, but lightened. What I lost I did not lose to failure. I let it slip beneath the surface, where it could soften, where it could become something else. Maybe even something better. Sometimes, silence is the only way to understand what the soul has been trying to say. Not the kind of silence we use to avoid, but the kind that invites, the kind that makes room. There are truths inside me, I didn't discover until I stopped trying to find them. They rose like mist from this lake, slow, shapeless, and quietly certain. And you, just your presence here, it's a kind of answer, I think. Not a spoken one, but a shared one. You and I, we haven't needed many words between us tonight, and yet I feel known. I feel seen. There's a grace in that companionship that isn't built on saying the right thing, but simply being near, just breathing together. You remind me that we don't always need to fill the silence. Sometimes all we must do is sit in it and let it hold us. You know, I've come to believe that people are like islands, not separate, not truly, not alone, but each of us is a shape of stillness. In a great wide sea, we have our own edges, our own contours, and now and then the tides come close enough that we touch, sometimes just for a moment, sometimes for a lifetime. And when that happens, when the waters between us are bridged, it's not by effort, it's by grace, by gentle drift. You and I, we are islands with a shared shoreline tonight. There's something humbling in that. To know that what connects us is not striving, but surrender. That closeness can come without noise, without effort, just by being present enough to be felt. I used to think love was something bright and burning, something you had to chase, had to prove. But now I think perhaps the deepest kind of love is the one that simply stays, the kind that leans in without pressing, that listens without interrupting, that doesn't ask to be noticed, and yet is always there when your eyes finally open. Like this willow beside us. It doesn't speak, it doesn't move, unless the wind stirs it. But still, it shades us, it watches, it waits, it holds. Maybe that's the purest kind of care. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How stillness brings us closer to meaning than motion ever did. There was a time when I filled my days with movement. Ride there, return here, fix this, carry that. I thought my value lived in what I accomplished. But the truth, I think, is that my worth is not in how much I do, but in how deeply I see, how patiently I sit with what is. And what I see tonight is beauty, not the kind that demands to be admired, but the quiet kind, the kind that waits for you to notice. The ripple across a sleeping lake, the hush between your words, the way your breath slows when you begin to feel safe. That is beauty, that is peace, and perhaps that is what I've been seeking all along. You know, some say that the soul is like a fire, that it burns, that it consumes, but I don't think so. Not anymore. To me, the soul is more like water. It flows, it shapes, it remembers, it holds both storm and stillness, and like water, it cannot be grasped, not truly. The tighter you close your hands around it, the more it slips away. But open your palms, and it rests there. That's what I'm learning to do. To open, to release, to float. I am not afraid of the things I do not know anymore. I am not afraid of the years behind me, and I am not afraid of the years ahead. For now I am held by this night, by this lake, by you. And if all we do is sit in this moment, breathing the same air, watching the moon stretch its arms across the water, that will be more than enough. You don't have to understand me fully. You don't have to solve the puzzle of who I've been or who I am becoming. You are here, and I am here. And that is everything. So let the patience not chase answers. Let stits not reach for meaning with clenched fists. Let us instead rest in what is. Let us be the islands that do not shout, but shine, that trust the tide to carry what must be carried. And when we speak, let it be like the wind in the willow, soft, sparse, and meaningful only in how it feels. Let's promise nothing tonight but presence. Let's give each other nothing but breath. Let's remember that this stillness, is not an absence of life. It is life, distilled. It is life, at its most honest. Sting, it is beautiful. So lay back, if you wish. Let the lake hold your gaze. Let the stars keep their silent vigil above us. Let the hush deepen, and let yourself be exactly as you are. Seen, heard, cherished. You are not alone in your silence, dear one. You are simply home. Can you feel how deep the night has grown? It's as though the world has pulled a blanket over itself, thick and soft and woven from starlight. Even the wind has quieted now, slipping between the willow branches in long, slow breaths, barely enough to stir the leaves. They hang in silver stillness, touching the surface of the lake so gently they seem afraid to wake it. The water, too. Look at it. It's gone dark, so dark it's almost not there at all. Just a great bowl of black glass holding the sky's reflection. The stars above are mirrored so perfectly that you could almost believe we're floating in two skies at once. One above, one below. No sound, no ripple, not even the frogs now. Only this hush, this deep and sacred hush. And in this moment, just here, just now, I feel it, my friend. The peace I had been hoping to find, not in the shape I expected. Of course, that's the thing about peace. It rarely announces itself with trumpets or clear signs. It comes like this, quiet, unassuming, not in the solving of anything, but in the soft release of needing answers at all. I'd spent some time tonight chasing the echo of a memory, didn't I? A song, a feeling, something once heard or felt or shared that had grown faint over the years. I thought perhaps I might find it again in the wind, or in the reeds, or in the rhythms of the lake. But now that the stars have come and you are here beside me, I realize it's returned in a different form. It's not a song now, not really. Not a clear note, or a lyric I can hold in my hands. It stits a stillness in my chest, a slowing of the breath, a quiet yes beneath the ribs. And you helped bring it back, just by sitting here, just by being. There's something about your presence that lets the world settle into itself, like a tide easing into its shape. It's as if the island breathes easier when you arrive, like the trees bend lower, the moss thickens, the air holds its coolness longer. You don't even have to speak. Your nearness is enough. Isn't that the strange and wondrous thing about certain people? That they bring peace without effort, as though they're made of it, as though their heart knows how to shape a stillness around them so gently that others can rest inside it without ever needing to ask. That's what you have done for me tonight. And so now I sink a little deeper into this earth, my back cradled by moss, my shoulders loosened from their holding. The old aches in my bones have quieted for a while, and my thoughts, they no longer scatter like startled birds. They simply drift now, like feathers or petals on the water. The lake. I think she sips known all along. She's kept that memory I sought. Not because I lost it, but because she knew I wasn't quite ready to carry it again until I came here like this, with open hands and no expectations. And now I see that the memory was never meant to return as it was. It's something not mine to keep like a stone in my pocket. It's something I was meant to feel and let pass through me, like breath, like nightfall, like this moment. You know, There's something comforting in knowing that some parts of us don't vanish, even when we forget them for a while. They wait for the right season, the right stillness, the right friend, and then without force or fanfare they return, not to reclaim but to remind. I'm reminded now of who I am when I am most at ease. Not a knight in armor, nor a wanderer with purpose, just a man sitting on an island, beside a lake, beside a friend, letting the world hold him for a while. And in that, there's such relief. There are no questions left tonight that need answers. No roads that call my name. No weights I must carry. Only this quiet, generous moment where everything I need is already here. Look up with me. Do you see how the stars keep their distance and yet shine so fully, so freely? None of them push forward. None compete. And yet together they make the sky beautiful. Maybe that sips how we meant to be too, just as we are. Not trying to shine the brightest. Not trying to change the night. Just offering our light in the stillness we've been given. You are one of those stars to me. You've given me no demand, and yet your light is unmistakable. You've helped me remember not just what I once felt, but what I can still feel, even now, after so many seasons, after so much forgetting, and so I will sleep tonight with a heart made full by quiet things, by the reflection of stars on black water, by the breath of willow leaves barely moving, by the warm, soft shape of your presence beside me. The world doesn't always need us to act. Sometimes it just needs us to listen, to soften, to let the hush in. And I am letting it in now. It's just curling in my chest, slowing my pulse, thickening behind my eyelids like the velvet of sleep drawing close. If I could offer you anything in return for the peace you've given me tonight, it would be this: a safe place, a shared silence, a breath that rises and falls in rhythm with yours. Let us rest then. Let the lake keep its soft vigil. Let the willow bow her head. Let the night stretch long and low and unbroken. You don't just have to stay awake, dear one. Not for me. Not for anything. Everything worth holding is already here. Let your limbs grow heavy. Let your thoughts dissolve. Let the last bit of wakefulness slip away like a leaf across the water. I will be here a little longer, watching the stars blur. But I am already halfway to sleep myself, and it's a sweet place to drift toward, with you beside me. We have remembered what needed remembering, and now we can let it go. Not lost, not gone, just softened into stillness, like the lake, like the night, like us. The night has grown thick with quiet, hasn't it? Even the stars seem to have slowed. Not flickering now, but glowing, steady and content, like candles that know they're not meant to light the room, only to comfort it. You've stayed with me longer than most, and for that, I thank you, truly. There's a kind of warmth in shared stillness that words will never quite capture, though I've done my best. But now, the hush is asking for even less. Less talking, less thinking, just presence, just breath. You've nothing left to do tonight, my dear one. Not here, not now. The world has folded in on itself, like soft linen drawn over a resting form. Let it be. Let the lake hold all that you've carried today. Let the willow shade whatever thoughts still flicker at the edge of your mind. Close your eyes, if they haven't closed already. You listened so well, so kindly. Now let go, like a leaf released from the branch, like mist leaving the surface of the water at dawn. Float. There's sats no current to fear here, no shore to reach, just the slow rocking of dreams beneath you, steady as a lullaby. Do you hear the frogs now? Soft voices echoing from the reeds, not singing, not truly, but still, their septs a rhythm to them, like a chant too old for words. And the lake, it laps at the stones with such gentleness, as though its septs breathing right along with us. In pulsar, the center stow, to let that rhythm take you. Let the day fall away like petals into dark water. Let your thoughts dissolve one by one until there's nothing left but this warmth, this stillness, this peace. Would you like a lullaby before we drift? There's one I recall. Something hummed to me long ago when I was small enough to be cradled in another's arms. I don't remember who sang it, but the feeling stayed, like the scent of lavender caught in old cloth. It went something like this: sleep now, soft one, under sky and tree, where wind walks gently and stars drift free. The lake is watching, the moon is near, and all you carry is safe here. Close your eyes to the hush and glow, let the moss cradle you, deep and slow. No need to wander, no need to wake. You are held, dear one, by night, by lake. It's not a song for remembering, it's a song for forgetting. Just enough to rest, just enough to dream. And so, my cherished companion, rest now. You'd have done enough. You have been enough. You are enough. Let the hush fold over you, like a cloak. Let sleep come, not like a thief, but like a friend who takes your hand and leads you down a path lined with silver leaves and quiet promise. And if your thoughts return, if they flutter like moths or whisper like wind, let them come, let them pass, let them soften. You are safe here, safe in this still hour, safe in my company, safe in your breath. I will remain a little longer, just watching the stars blur over the water, just listening, just breathing. And when my eyes finally close, they'll close with peace, with gratitude. Not goodbye, dear one, never that. Only until again, until the next hush finds us, until the next night welcomes us home.